It is 1 o'clock in the morning. It is 20 degrees outside. I think it's about time to review a movie about the freezing cold. That's right, I made that pun. Today I went to see Frozen, the newest animated Disney movie. And I really didn't expect Frozen to be good at all. I had a very negative opinion about the movie because just looking at stills of it, it fills kind of all the check marks that Tangled filled. And I love Tangled, but it felt like they're just making the same movie twice. You have the goofy modern girl stuck in the past kind of character where she acts the same way you would expect a socially awkward teenager today to act and not someone who was raised under, a matriarchy, which is kind of a different society than ours. And you got the goofy kid character who's there to just keep the kids entertained while they nom on their chocolate. And then you got the guy who's obviously the love interest, but he gets friend zoned at first. And then you got the guy who's charming and perfect and looks like a Disney princess and that, so you're gonna get a love triangle going on there, which the friend zone guy probably is gonna win in a Disney movie. Let's be honest. So Frozen, I didn't expect it to be good, and I walked out. It was probably second to Wreck-It Ralph, and since I have a gaming channel, it's probably obvious I was gonna like Wreck-It Ralph most of any of the non-Pixar Disney movies recently. If you want a short review of the movie, the story is really choppy. It doesn't have a villain until the last 20 minutes of the movie, and that's not how Disney movies roll usually. Honestly, I would find it weird that a Disney movie doesn't have a villain until the last 20 minutes, but now that I've never compared it to Wreck-It Ralph, but I did just mention Wreck-It Ralph, and Wreck-It Ralph doesn't really have a villain until the last half of the movie. There is a character that could be a villain, but it's not really established well as a villain until the big twist at the end. Frozen feels like its own thing. Now that I've seen parts of Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph and whatever other CGI things have come out recently that I can't think of off the top of my head, Disney Animation Studios, which has a more official name than that, has its own distinct feel and animation style to it, separate from Pixar, which is something I was very afraid of, given it that John Lasseter kind of jumped ship to go to Disney Animation Studios and make more money, or, actually keep it from sucking, even though one movie kind of got out, or because he wasn't at home anymore. Either way, you can call your own judgments on that one. Point being, Frozen, it has a very weird pacing for a movie like this. You expect there to be, here's the bad guy, here's the good guy. Bad guy's like 40,000 miles away, so good guy has to go do something about that. And they kiss at the end, blah, 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 you're done. The antagonist in Frozen doesn't really have traction over the plot until near the end. Otherwise, the movie's pretty much about growing up, because there's a lot about naivete. I'm not going to spoil anything about the ending of the movie, but I will say, early on in the movie, the protagonist character, the sister who the camera follows most of the movie, falls in love with a guy she's met maybe 5 hours ago. They essentially fall for each other, have a big song sequence, and then as soon as the song's over, she says, I want to marry him! And for the rest of the movie, every other character's like, are you serious? Like, that's kind of... no. Which is interesting, given that Disney has kind of built up the whole prince-princess relationship thing to be another kiss. Like, there's been no, like, they've known each other for years, and now they're gonna get married. So it's kind of interesting to see Disney grow with the times a bit, instead of just having people meet and then married, 40 kids. How'd that happen? I don't know. It's not expected of them, and I like that they've moved to a different place than that. Not to say that there isn't a kind of forced lovey ending to the movie, but without spoiling anything, I'll just say it doesn't ruin it. But as someone who sat there in his seat and said, wow, they really just did that, they're not going to follow that same script, it made me feel good, and then they kind of crushed that a little bit. The only thing wrong with Frozen, and this is coming from my editor's perspective, by the way, this is not me as a viewer. As a viewer, I love Frozen. As an editor, there's something that made me feel like they don't think kids can think. Watching Frozen, I look at it as an adult, but I know the movie's made for kids. Obviously, Olaf, the snowman character, is designed entirely to keep the kids up to speed on what's happening in the movie. So much so, whenever a major plot point happens in the film, even once he looked in the camera and did it, he sits there and recites what just happened. It seemed like Olaf was almost a Deadpool kind of character where he just says to the camera, "This is what happened," if you weren't paying attention. So if you leave halfway through the movie and come back, Olaf will get you caught up real fast. But there is one point in the movie where a character is reminded of something that went horribly wrong at the beginning of the film. I couldn't measure how far in the movie it was because I didn't have, like a watch on or anything. I just had a drink and candy. I didn't have popcorn, so I couldn't tell you if I was half in the bag or anything like that yet. But it wasn't that far in the movie. Something bad happens in the first 10 minutes. And 30 minutes in, I'm going to guess, a character is reminded of the bad event. Not only do you hear the audio of the bad event, which I like, that's a subtle flashback. If you look at someone's face and see a look of pure, regret and sadness, and you hear faint audio of the scene, you know what they're thinking about. That's fine. Leave it there. I know what you're thinking about. Today I went to see Frozen, the newest animated Disney movie. Then it zooms into her eyeballs, and you actually see the animation of the scene from earlier in the movie, the 3 seconds that this bad event happened. It's hard to criticize a kid's movie for doing this, but I was raised on Looney Tunes, and Looney Tunes didn't pull any stops. Disney movies usually don't pull stops. There are some Disney movies that don't do crap like that. So I'm going to call them on this. Showing the footage of that scene is just you thinking my brain shut off. Kids who like the movie will know what you're talking about because the event is the crux of the plot of the movie. If they don't get it, they're not going to be too confused. So showing the footage doesn't do anything. It felt like 3 seconds in the movie could have been cut, and it would have been fine. But that is me nitpicking. Don't let that nitpick ruin the movie for you. After seeing Ice Age 4, which was a movie that had no redeeming qualities whatsoever, it's one of the few movies I can say is a truly horrible movie. I would argue Frozen is something worth seeing. I went to see it because it was a pun. But I ended up liking it, even though I just went to see it because it's freaking cold outside. And if you really want a treat, go see Frozen in the theaters. Because the short that plays before the movie, and I didn't know there was going to be a short before the movie, is one of the most creative and enjoyable things I've ever seen. And if Disney ever posts that short on YouTube, I will make an entire video about it. Because it is on par with Paperman. I had a lot of fun with Paperman. Otherwise, go see good movies, review them yourselves, because I'm not the best person to be doing this, and I hope you enjoyed this Ticket Stub review. I have reviewed Gravity, The Fifth Estate, and there was another Ticket Stub review I should have done, but I deleted. Sorry. If there's one message I can leave you with in this video, since all Disney movies have morals to them, the video might as well have a thesis or a moral to it, and this has nothing to do with the movie, by the way. I've grown up my entire life wanting to be able to play guitar. I still can't really play guitar, but a $20 gadget that lets me tune this damn thing, which is out of tune right now. This thing is all I needed. I just had to go find it. And maybe there's an electric tuner in your life that you can go find. Until then, I'll be here writing videos, waving guitars around, and not making my bed. Because it's totally not made. I just did this part because Jason said he hated seeing my bed unmade, so I did that. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.